Several top NASCAR teams revealed bright new paint schemes today, and it's official. Noah Gragson will attempt to qualify for the Daytona 500, and that's only because Jimmie Johnson refused the opportunity. We've got a lot to talk about today. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric, and welcome to Out of the Groove. Today is January 14th. As of today, we are officially 1 month from the 2021 edition of the Daytona 500. So now, NASCAR Cup Series teams have kicked it into overdrive. We're getting announcements left and right. Today, several top Cup Series teams revealed brand new paint schemes. Well, I guess some brand new, some are rehashes of old ones, but I figured we'd look at some of these paint schemes today because that's all my social media feed is. Twitter, Instagram, it does not matter. Everyone's talking about these paint schemes, so I thought we could look at some of them together, hear what you guys thought. Y'all can hear what I think about some of these, but we also have some news stories to catch up on today. First and foremost, let's talk about Beard Motorsports. This was first reported a number of weeks ago, but it's finally been confirmed by the team itself. Noah Gragson, Xfinity Series driver, will attempt to qualify for the Daytona 500. This will be his first ever NASCAR Cup Series action. Beard Motorsports is, of course, the 62 car, the same team Brendan Gaughan has made famous over the years. Brendan Gaughan's a Las Vegas driver. Noah Gragson's a Las Vegas driver. Gragson spoke to the media earlier today, and he let slip an interesting detail. Apparently, he was the second choice for this ride. Apparently, the 62 team first asked Jimmie Johnson if he would like to drive their car in the Great American Race, and Jimmie Johnson reportedly declined. Remember, Johnson said last month, I believe, that he's very focused on preparing for the upcoming IndyCar season. Jimmie Johnson's making his open wheel racing debut here in just a couple short months. He has said that he does not plan on getting behind the wheel of a NASCAR stock car, at least for the foreseeable future. He's not ruling it out entirely, but at least for the next few months, I think it's safe to say we won't be seeing Jimmie Johnson. But I thought that was very interesting. I've already talked about Noah Gragson trying to run the Daytona 500. I'm excited for it. I think he's fun to watch. He won the Xfinity race at Daytona a year ago, so good luck to him. He's gonna have to qualify first, and that's something we haven't talked about, but the Daytona 500 entry list, which is not official yet, it's looking pretty stacked. By my estimate, it looks like at least 44 cars will probably show up to the Daytona 500 and attempt to nab one of the 40 spots. Of course, the 36 charter teams are already locked in, so it's really going to be 8 or 9 cars probably competing for the final 4 spots in the main field. But you look at some of the entries that have been announced. Noah Gragson, we now know, will try to qualify. We know David Reagan for Front Row will try to qualify. Matt Collig's team is attempting to qualify with Kaz Grala behind the wheel. Of course, we can expect Timmy Hill to try and qualify. NY Racing has announced their return recently. There's a number of teams that are going to try to run this race, and I think that is good for the sport. It's good to see some real competition to just make the field. That's something that at least the last several years has become less and less prevalent. It's good to see a lot of teams show up and try to be competitive in the last year, presumably, of the Gen 6, because when the next gen car rolls around and everyone has to buy up completely new equipment, we might see slightly smaller field sizes, at least out of the gate. So at least it's good to know that this year's Daytona 500 will see some serious competition in those dual races. Those will be can't miss. Moving on, I saw today Gracie Trotter will run part-time ARCA this year for Venturini Motorsports. She'll split time between the 25 and the 15 car, apparently. Gracie Trotter became the first woman to win a race under the ARCA banner when she won at the Las Vegas Bull Ring this last year. That was in the ARCA West Series. This year, she's planning to run part-time ARCA. She's made, I believe, 1 main ARCA start already, so good to see her getting some more laps, some more experience under her belt. Now the competition really ramps up. We'll see what she can do, but I thought that was a pretty cool announcement. Also, we have to talk about Bristol. This is something I missed in my last episode that I forgot to talk about, but reportedly Bristol Motor Speedway is going to temporarily remove the safer barrier walls before the Bristol Dirt Race weekend. I know, kind of surprising. NASCAR and the University of Nebraska, who originally helped develop the safer barriers, both approved this move. They expect speeds to be fairly low, so I don't think they anticipate any impacts with the outside wall being particularly dangerous, but that is surprising after 10-15 plus years now of every track adding safer barriers across every nook and cranny of their facility. Bristol's getting rid of them, and apparently it's because they had issues placing the dirt. They're worried the dirt's going to get into the safer barrier and mess it up for future races. Apparently, this just goes back to my argument this last week. If NASCAR really wanted to run a dirt race for the Cup Series, they should have gone to a purpose-built dirt track. They should have gone to Eldora. I know Tony Stewart agrees with me, as we talked about in yesterday's episode, so I do think NASCAR trying to shoehorn a dirt race into a facility that's just not really built for it. I know Bristol in the year 2000 put dirt on the track and ran some World of Outlaws races and more, but it's just not built for this type of racing, for this overhaul. I still think this race is fraught with peril. I hope I'm wrong. Apparently the banking is actually going to be a little bit steeper than it was back in the year 2000, according to how they're packing the dirt in right now. Of course, since the year 2000, Bristol added progressive banking to the track, so I'm not sure that might be playing a factor. That's probably has something to do with it. According to Bob Pockris, the track will also be roughly 10 to 20 feet narrower this time than it was in the year 2000. So we'll see how that affects the racing. I'm still just a little bit worried that NASCAR and Bristol and SMI, I think they've got a little over their head, but I mean, these are professionals. I'm sure they'll put on a respectable race in March. Whew, fingers crossed. I wanted to hit on those news stories really quick, catch everybody up, catch myself up, honestly, but I want to focus this episode on paint schemes. We're a month away from the Daytona 500. Teams are wheeling out their best and brightest stuff. Today, Hendrick Motorsports revealed a brand new Exalta scheme for William Byron. We'll look at that. 2311 Racing also revealed their first official paint scheme, not that generic 2311 Racing car that they've been hyping up for months. No, this is their official first on-track paint scheme for DoorDash. We'll look at that one. A couple other changes as well. Let's start with perhaps the least exciting of the bunch. Reesers is apparently moving over to Martin Truex Jr. for 4 races. They have been on the 20 car for a number of years. This Reesers car looks exactly the same as far as I can tell to what Eric Jones has been running the last couple of years. Still got the tub of potato salad there on the side. Not the sexiest look in the world. The red and black doesn't look bad, but yeah, I don't know what else they could change. I guess it must be in their contract. The potato salad must be prominently featured. That's their crown jewel. But man, could you pick a less exciting looking food item? I mean, come on. Front Row Motorsports also confirmed today that Speedy Cash is returning as one of the primary sponsors for Anthony Alfredo now this year. And I'm unhappy to report that the scheme has not changed at all. It's still I can barely look at it. This was one of my least favorite paint schemes of 2020. I'm absolutely thrilled to see that it is making a comeback. The baby flames and all, it's all back and it's as ugly as ever. I like Anthony Alfredo. I'm excited for him this year, but gosh, I just don't like this paint scheme. Some people do. We'll look at some of y'all's comments here in a moment. Some of y'all really like this paint scheme, but I can't wrap my head around it. I'm sorry. Now, these last 2 paint scheme reveals we're going to look at have been 2 of the most highly anticipated paint scheme reveals all off season. Everyone's been itching, scratching at the neck to find out what 2311 Racing's cars are going to look like. And we now have our first glimpse at their DoorDash Toyota. And it's pretty good. It's not bad at all. It's simple, but it's very bright. I assume it's going to be wrapped, so it's not going to have quite the same pop to it that a traditionally painted car may have, but it looks really good. I do like this one a lot. I like how they've utilized the side of the car to make room for their other sponsors because they do have a lot of partners over there at 2311. I do like red and black. Of course, DoorDash's colors are red, and the red and black, again, reminiscent of the Chicago Bulls colors, reminding everybody that this is a Michael Jordan-owned race car. No problem with that whatsoever. This looks nice. It's not too obnoxious. It's not too detailed. It's not too busy, but it's simple and it is recognizable. You'll be able to pick this out of the pack pretty easily. I actually like Bubba Wallace's DoorDash car from 2020 quite a bit. It was a slightly different design. It was a little simpler on the side. It was even simpler than this, quite honestly, but I liked it. So I'm glad they didn't try to go too busy. I like a good busy paint scheme from time to time, but sometimes it's just not needed. And I think for a team's debut paint scheme like this, which is what I will assume was going to run in the Daytona 500, I think this is a really solid start. I'll be curious to see if all of their other primary schemes follow a very similar pattern, or if, the Columbia car, the Dr. Pepper car, if they all have a different design to them. I hope that's the case. If the car is going to be a completely different color anyways, might as well mess with the design just a tad, but I like this one a lot. I think this is a very solid debut paint scheme. It's a pretty safe look. I will say that. They're not trying to push anyone's buttons too hard right here. I actually did see, there's a lot of great designers on social media that publish their own concept paint schemes. And of course, I saw this one from Noah Sweet. And this was interesting because it adds to the debate of the number placement. NASCAR reportedly is considering moving the numbers back towards the rear of the car for 2022. Here's an idea of what it might look like if they move the numbers forward a little bit. And I thought this looked fantastic. I want to give this one a shout out. If we look back at this actual Bubba Wallace DoorDash car, it is kind of glaringly obvious how much kind of empty space there is there just behind the front tire. Like, you got the Cup Series logo and then nothing. And I'm with NASCAR to an extent that you could utilize that space a little bit better if you just gave them a tiny bit more space. So I don't know. It's not a bad paint scheme, but it is safe. Now, I want to talk about a risky paint scheme because William Byron, Hendrick Motorsports, and Axalta revealed the all-new 24 look. Oh boy, oh man, yes, this is something. The Axalta colors are back once again. The rainbow style, the rainbow colors are once again very, very prominent, but I love that they're on a matte black based car. I love this one more than I think a lot of other people do, for a number of reasons. One, I think it looks pretty good. There's a couple things I don't love about it. I don't love how the yellow 24 looks on the side with like the green stripe going right behind it. It kind of reminds me of the Days of Thunder throwback scheme Byron ran a couple years ago when they threw back to that Cole Trickle green and yellow car. So it does remind me of that a little bit, and that's kind of cool, but you know, as iconic as that fictional paint scheme is, it is quite loud. But the other reason I really like this paint scheme, and I commend Hendrick and Axalta for taking this risk, because this is a risky paint scheme. A lot of people don't like this one, as we'll see in a moment. I'm thrilled that they finally have given William Byron his own unique style. You know, up to this point, and Hendrick's not the only team that's done this, RCR has done this a whole lot as well. Hendrick has been invoking the memory of Jeff Gordon really since Byron took over the 24 in 2018. They've run that same navy blue and red style flame looking paint scheme that's really reminiscent of the flame scheme Jeff Gordon was famous for in the 2000s. And it's no secret why they did it. William Byron wasn't a big name even by the time he got into the Cup Series. A lot of people knew who he was because he'd won a bunch in trucks, he'd won an Xfinity, but William Byron was not a big personality, was not a household name, even among NASCAR fans in many cases. So to sell t-shirts, to sell hype, to get people excited about William Byron, I think a lot of it did rest on the paint scheme. He's driving the iconic 24, and it's even got the red flames, and very similar to Jeff Gordon. You guys remember Jeff Gordon? Everybody likes Jeff Gordon. You should root for William Byron and buy his t-shirts. Look at this. This shows me that Hendrick Motorsports finally has some confidence that William Byron can carry himself. While yes, this is still rainbow, which is, you know, the typical DuPont Axalta style, it has some touches that now are uniquely William Byron, like the matte black base underneath all the paint, like the stripes and all the designs on the side and even on the front. This is a uniquely William Byron paint scheme, so I will commend Axalta and Hendrick for taking a risk here, because not all fans are going to like this. And I'll be completely honest, is this objectively a better paint scheme than the flame scheme he's run the last couple of years? I don't know. The flame scheme did look pretty dang cool on the Camaro. So I'm not going to say this is a better objective paint scheme than what he ran last year or the year before or the year before that, but I do appreciate that they've given William Byron his own paint scheme. Now, I asked y'all on Twitter which of these paint scheme reveals was your favorite of the day, and I got some pretty mixed responses. It was clear that two of them were heads and shoulders above the other two. Most of y'all thought the Bubba Wallace and or William Byron one was the best. I mean, it makes sense. The Reese's one we've seen before, the Speedy Cash one we've seen before, and hopefully we'll not see again after this year. But a lot of y'all really liked the new paint schemes like this, the 23. I love the simplistic, easily recognizable scheme. I agree. As much as I love loud and occasionally chaotic paint schemes, I think there is something that we've missed over the last 20 years. You look back at the 90s, a lot of those paint schemes were very simple, but they were bright. And because they featured iconic brands, they were easy to pick out of a crowd. A lot of that's missing in 2020, 2021 NASCAR. So yes, this bright red DoorDash scheme with the big D on the front, on the hood, is easily recognizable. It's sort of a return to those 90s style paint schemes. So I agree there. That 24 is yikes. See, not everyone likes the 24. Again, this was a risk. Hot take, they're all pretty bad. Well, we love positivity here at Out of the Groove. Like I said, I don't even think the Byron Axalta car is necessarily better than the Flames Axalta car. I just like that it's a little bit different and it's uniquely William Byron. Byron is the only one that took a chance, in my opinion. I agree with that, and I can respect that they did take that chance, especially with such an iconic, NASCAR number and NASCAR sponsor. It was a risk, but I think they did a pretty good job with it. Scrolling through y'all's replies, it was pretty split between Bubba Wallace and William Byron. A lot of people liked both of those schemes quite a bit. Some of y'all hated both those schemes, as we even saw there in those comments. But thank you guys for commenting on that, and thank you all for watching this video. Leave your comments down below. Which of these brand new paint schemes was your favorite? Did any of them miss the mark completely for you? Let me know down in the comments. That's all I've got for this episode. Thanks for hanging out with me and checking out some brand new NASCAR paint schemes. That was a lot of fun, and I have a feeling there will be a lot more where that came from as we get closer and closer to the start of the new season. That's all I've got. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel. We talk NASCAR almost daily here at Out of the Groove. As always, a huge thank you to my amazing Patreon supporters as well. I could not do this show without your continued support. We'll be back with more videos very, very soon. Thank you all for watching. Take care. Have a fantastic rest of your day.